What's going on, everybody? We're back. It's the Sooners Illustrated podcast, episode 25 on this Monday, October 9th, 2023. It was quite the weekend in Dallas, Texas. We were all there. We're going to break it all down. We're going to talk all about it. Josh Callaway, Tom Green, James D. Jackson. Gentlemen, your first Red River Rivalry showdown, whatever, weekend was an all-timer. How are we feeling? First time for you guys down there. Just kind of walk me through the emotions of the weekend. It was cool. It was quite a weekend.
What an incredible game, by the way. I mean, just outstanding. I mean, that shows you how, fun this rivalry is. I know some people think the other rivalries are up, a little bit ahead of it. I just can't see it, man. I just can't see it. OU Texas is the best rivalry that I've been to. I mean, that was spectacular. That was spectacular. I saw Tom. I sat right next to him during the press box. He had to rewrite his lead 2 or 3 times as that game was unfolding, man. Just everything just kept changing. I mean,
always got to
be a great win. What a great win, man.
It was a decent game.
Not bad.
No, it was and I mentioned this to you guys after the game in the press box, but just like in terms of crazy, wild, kind of has it all, not just rivalry games, but games that I've covered in my career. This is either, 1B or 2. Like, it's right there with the 2019 Iron Bowl, which if you guys don't remember that game or didn't see it, it was the highest scoring Iron Bowl in series history. Had 2 pick sixes, including one that went for 100 yards. Jalen Waddle scored like four different touchdowns, including a kick return. Had a missed field goal late in the game, and then Alabama losing on a substitution penalty because they thought Auburn was going to do a fake punt because its punter was lined up at receiver, and it was just all sorts of wacky, crazy, nuts. And on top of that, you have, because it was a game at Auburn, the fans stormed the field after winning that game. So that game is kind of like seared in my mind as like one of the craziest that I've ever seen. But this game had it all too, man. I mean, just the first 6 minutes of this game were completely off the rails.
Yeah, it was.
And then it got
a game's worth of things. Yeah, like you said, the first 6 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it lived up to the hype. I'll say it's definitely a unique rivalry, just like the setting, being in the middle of the state fair. Like, you don't have traditional tailgating like at a lot of these other rivalries. You just have people kind of going to the fair, getting drinks, eating fried food, going on rides 3 hours before kickoff, and then walking into the stadium and just having that split down the middle. I mean, you guys told me it's very unique, especially just when you have momentum swings in that game, because you have one side just dead silent, the other side's going crazy. We saw that a couple times just in the last minute and a half. Texas kicks that go-ahead field goal. The South side is just an unnerving silence.
Yeah, no, 100%.
A minute later, Dylan Gabriel delivers a drive for the ages, and it's just mayhem.
I mean,
it did not disappoint. I was blown away by that experience.
That's why the rivalry is so up there in my rankings, just because you just never know what's going to happen. It doesn't even matter like what each team is ranked or what their records are beforehand. Just the hatred that each team has for each other and wanting to show out in front of their fans and the opposing team's fans at the same time. I mean, it's just spectacular. You get the best performances most of the time from those teams, and it's just like the craziest things happen. We had fake punts, we had punt blocks. I mean, there was interceptions, there was fumbles, there was everything you could ask for. Goal line stands. I mean, it seemed like every play that could be made in football was made in that game, but outside of a safety. I mean, it was just everything you want to see is what you saw. Now it's just an amazing experience. I mean, as a journalist, I'm sure it's even more crazy as a fan, but as a journalist, it was outstanding.
And I got a corn dog.
You did. We all got flushers.
James got one too. James got his first.
Yeah, they jobbed me into it, man. I had to go ahead and try it.
It's one of a kind. It delivers more often than not. Most years it's like that. It's crazy compared to just not last year, obviously, extenuating circumstances, but 2021 was insane like that. 2020 was insane like that. 2019 had twists and turns. I mean, it's a competitive, wild, massive emotion swings game almost every year. And it's great. It's the best. Will say, so we're going to get into the breakdown of this game. A lot to digest, a lot to talk about, a lot of angles and things to break down with it. We'll apologize right off the top. We all had Texas. We took some heat for it. on our VIP subscribers. I was wrong, Tom. His sign. We, the game played out pretty much like a lot. We kind of thought it would for 59 minutes, but Dylan Gabriel decided he had other ideas. And unbelievable performance. We're going to talk about all of it. But yeah, we all had Texas winning a close one, and you got to give all the credit in the world, Oklahoma. We all take our collective L's on that. Colin too. But we did have, not Colin, but the three of us had OU covering the spread. So we're still undefeated against the spread. At least James and I. Tom had the SMU game, but we won the pick against the spread, so we'll take that, I guess. But man, what a game! What a game! A lot to talk about, a lot to digest.
As you said, it came down to Dylan Gabriel pretty much just having his Heisman drive, Heisman moment, whatever you want to call it. That's what it was. I mean, it was 30-27, and my pick was 31-28 with Texas, coming away as a victor. And I said that OU would beat them in the Big 12 championship if it got to that, later on in the year. With Dylan Gabriel having that drive changed everything. I mean, I thought because I thought OU, it's just second year in their system, they're going to get better as the year goes on. They're going to just be just a little bit behind Texas as they get to this point. And, I mean, they showed us, man. They showed us. I mean, OU led for a majority of this game, if not led, but had control of this game for a majority of the time, keeping Ewers off balance, stopping everything that Texas was doing. And OU really could have won this game by 2 or 3 scores if they, just executed on a few plays here and there. The Tallaway Walker drop is one play that comes to mind off the top of my head, but I mean, that just shows you what it was. I mean, OU was ahead of schedule from even what we thought, and we've been covering this team, and it's just incredible what they pulled together.
Yeah, going in, I thought that Texas's ability to run the ball was going to be the difference in this game, just because what OU showed us through the first 5 games of the season. And Jonathan Brooks still had a great game running the ball, 125 yards and a touchdown on 24 carries. I mean, he got his, but I don't think any of us could have imagined that Dylan Gabriel would have a 100-yard rushing game like he did. I mean, that was we've seen him make plays with his legs, and we've talked about it and how that's been able to supplement the run game. But 114 yards and a touchdown on, however many carries, 10, 11 carries, whatever it was. I mean, none of us expected that, and man, Dylan Gabriel deserves all the credit in the world because he put his mark on this rivalry. Like we said, he had the opportunity to. He delivered in the biggest moments for Oklahoma. Now he has his signature moment in Oklahoma uniform. He has his chapter in the Red River Rivalry books. He has his Heisman moment. If Oklahoma can stay on track this season, he's going to be in that discussion, and this is going to be the game that everybody points to.
Yeah, the stat run through. We talked about the stat on Thursday's show. Whoever runs for more yards wins the game.
Yeah.
And that was a big concern going in because Oklahoma hasn't ran the ball. And the stat rung true again. Oklahoma ran for more yards in this game because of Dylan Gabriel. Obviously, the run game was relatively pedestrian as far as the running backs go. Tallaway Walker had some nice moments. But overall, it was kind of just about like it's been. But Dylan Gabriel was the X factor that you couldn't foresee. Him running for over 100 yards. First guy in OU Texas history from OU side, throw for 250 and run for 100. Wild that he's the first guy to ever do that. You would think at the very least Kyler Murray or Jalen Hurts probably would have done that. I had to go fact check it. Not that I thought OU would be wrong on that stat. I had to look it up because it was so unbelievable. And it is right. Dylan Gabriel, first guy to throw for 250 and run for 100. And yeah, to Tom's point, I mean, we talked about that going in on Thursday's show as well. This was a legacy game for Dylan Gabriel, the biggest game he's ever played in by a huge majority. You play at UCF, you don't play anything close to this. In Oklahoma so far, he didn't get to play in the OU Texas game last year. This was his moment. This was it. And that was another X factor question mark that at least I had coming in was how will he respond to that? And, obviously you guys have kind of got on me for being hard on DG, but he was amazing in this game. This was the best game he's played in OU uniform, given the circumstances, his poise down the stretch. I watched it back this morning, and he was just so locked in and calm. And he's that same kind of even keel guy that we always talk to after games and during the week. That's what he was in this game. Mm-hmm. He was amazing, and he deserves his flowers for sure. He's definitely in the Heisman conversation now. He has to be because the stats are what they are, but then he also now has the big win and the Heisman moment. That touchdown pass to Nick Anderson, I mean, the guys are on around his waist. He just flings it right where it needed to be. Hit him right in the 4, right in the number. It was really incredible to watch him do his thing. That's an all-time moment. He's an OU guy forever now. He went from kind of being a guy that I think in like 10 or 15 years, people kind of be like, oh, yeah, Dylan Gabriel, to fans will remember him for this game forever. He's got a place in OU history forever now. And so there's something to be said for that. Unbelievable showing from him.
I know when we were doing our analysis, it was like, I mean, what's the probability that OU would outrush Texas? What is the probability that Dylan Gabriel would have a Heisman-like game? I mean, which we thought would have to happen for them to win. We all thought this in our analysis, but the one fact that we forgot to put in there was Sooner Magic. I mean, that's pretty much what it was, Josh. I mean, you and I probably should have foresaw this coming to Sooner Magic. I'll give Tom a pass on that. But that last drive was Sooner Magic. I mean, just over a minute left, no timeouts. I mean, they say they've worked on it and everything like that. Maybe it's just preparation, many opportunity, but to the fans, it looked like Sooner Magic there. It was just like all of a sudden the offense came alive because they hadn't done a lot in that second half. After the first drive of the second half, they hadn't even scored. And so all of a sudden they were able to come and put it together. That's magical, man. That's what it is. And that's the fun part about that game, because OU just has that key factor, the X factor they can pull out of their hat whenever they need it. And it was Sooner Magic that happened once again. And now Dylan Gabriel, as I said, if he has a great game, I'm all for the Heisman hype. I'm there. I think he's up there, at least top 4, top 5. He's in that conversation for sure.
Position to get an invite to New York right now, at least.
Yeah.
I do feel a little, somewhat vindicated, because I know you guys have kind of nitpicked his performances in the season, and I know a lot of fans have.
They know you guys. I've been fine with DG. I've been nitpicking the run game. The run game is what I said. I said that it's too much pressure on DG because the run game hasn't been there. But
the run game is still bad. They've just been able to overcome it.
Yeah, DG's just decided himself he's going to run the ball as well. So that's what changed. Now, Josh, you can talk to Josh all you want, Tom. Let him have it.
Hey, Tom and I have always actually been saying the same thing, which has taken a little bit of a more glass half full or glass half empty approach to it. We've always said the same thing. It's just more of a how you look at it, I guess.
Yeah. No, but he
was great in this game.
Yeah. Do we want to start with that final drive?
Sure.
Okay. That's what everybody wants to hear, man.
You wrote about it.
I mean, yeah, no, that was a drive for the ages, like we said. I mean, James just pointed out Oklahoma's offense wasn't doing a whole lot before that drive, besides, after that Tawi Walker touchdown to open up the second half.
Mm-hmm.
Texas scored 13 straight points to take the lead. I mean, they had all the momentum going for them. Even after that goal line stand that I'm sure we'll talk about a little bit more later, Texas came back and responded, and then took the lead. Minute 17 left. Bert Auburn, who hasn't been great this year, just drills that 46-yard field goal. Oklahoma, minute 17 on the clock, no timeouts, need to go 75 yards to either, kick a field goal and force overtime, or get the game-winning touchdown. And, I wrote about it, but like that south side of the stadium was just an unnerving silence. I mean, it was dread. I mean, they felt like they had that game for the way that team played for so long, but
it was teetering on a blowout for a little while.
Yeah, but you know who was unfazed?
Yeah.
Dylan Gabriel and that Oklahoma offense. James alluded to it. They worked on that Wednesday in practice, 2-minute situation. They said the situation that they mapped out, minute 15 on the clock, no timeouts, and you need a touchdown. Not too dissimilar from what they found themselves in Saturday. Yeah, and they just came up and delivered. Dylan Gabriel on that drive, 4 of 4 for 58 yards. And the touchdown. I mean, obviously Drake Stoops had 2 big plays on that drive. Jalil Farouk had a big reception. They got a pass interference penalty to get some more yards. Dylan Gabriel had a scramble, inside the 10-yard line to set up the touchdown. But man, that final play.
Don't forget Walter Rouse, man.
I'm getting to it. That final play. When you look at it, Walter Rouse took on 2 Texas defenders by himself to buy Dylan Gabriel an extra beat. Tawi Walker also is going to go overlooked here. He picked up a blitz from Jalen Ford, preseason Big 12 defensive player of the year, bought Dylan Gabriel just enough time. And even though Nick Anderson and Austin Stogner collided into each other at the goal line while running their routes, Nick Anderson found himself wide open for a beat, and Dylan Gabriel identified that. He saw the corner clamp down on Austin Stogner, and he just delivered a perfect ball, and the rest is history. I mean, that was an unreal drive. an unreal play. The poise by Gabriel to know, obviously he knows he can't take a sack there because a sack is basically game over. He's either got to throw it out of bounds or he's got to throw a touchdown. And he stood in that pocket with it just crumbling around him, and he delivered his moment.
Yeah. I mean, and Nick Anderson, I wrote about this afterwards when we talked to him. He just he saw the ball coming to him in slow motion, and he just doesn't remember anything that happened after that. He looked down and the ball was in his hands, and he looked at the fans and was like, "Oh, I actually just caught that." Yeah. And he said, "I just let out a yell," and that's why he lost his voice when we were talking. He was like, "My voice is messed up because of that." I was just yelling as loud as I could. I didn't know what was going on.
Damn head off after the thing. Yeah, I mean, is there anything more like sports or whatever that was Nick Anderson's only catch of the game?
Yeah,
He's had a great season, after being hurt last year. This is really his first real season of college football. He's had an awesome season, but he was kept under wraps in this game.
Yeah,
until that moment, and that there's a million elements to the play, like Tom's articulated, that it all had to work, and it just did. And the throw was a dot. The throw was a dot, and he was open, but it's in the end zone. I mean, the angles. I mean, you let that get away from you in any one direction, it can kind of get haywire. And it was a perfect throw. And I mean, I'll never forget that. I mean, I'm standing right there in that corner, and I mean, all the OU fans are right there, and Nick Anderson, just when he catches that, turns around and just screams his head off. Just what a moment! What a moment!
And I know Tom alluded to it, but Drake Stoops on that drive was outstanding, and then Jalil Farouk to make his play. The long play. He had, what was it, 16 yards? Yeah, 16-yard pass, and then he's the one that got the pass interference called on him. So he was, the guy that fought through that.
It was Nick Anderson got the pass interference.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, then, yeah. Well, you have to give Nick Anderson that credit too, but just the way the receivers responded as well, because we talked about before this season how we didn't know what kind of unit they were going to be. I mean, they're really the strong suit of this offense. And we talked about Dylan Gabriel, but the receivers are the go-to factors here. I mean, there's so many weapons that Gabriel has at his disposal whenever he drops back in the pocket. Now, we're still waiting to see on what's going on with Andrew Anthony. I'm sure we'll get something on that when we talk to Brent Venables and the players tonight and see what's going on there. But so far, I mean, the receivers group has just been outstanding.
Yeah, no, it has been. And, like you said, we'll see what happened with Andrell. Obviously, there's fear there, but we'll see. We don't know yet for sure. But the crazy thing is, as good as Andrew Anthony has been, they can probably sustain an injury there better than any other position because of, like you just said, James. I mean, Jalil Farouk was phenomenal in this game. 5 catches for 130 yards. His yards after catch, I mean, just constantly making things happen after he gets the ball in his hands. They also ran with him a few times in this game. This was what, at least I thought, and most people thought that he was going to be coming into the year as that number one guy, just this Swiss Army knife, use him however you want, so good after the catch, returns kicks for you. He has really, the last couple of games, after a slowish start to his season, just taken off. And, man, he's been good, and he was phenomenal in this game. I mean, I don't think it's getting overlooked by any means, but outside of Dylan Gabriel, you have a hard time finding a more valuable player in this game for Oklahoma than Jalil Farouk. He was really, really good on Saturday. Just, again, rising to the moment. Team needed him, and he stepped up. Andrew Anthony got hurt in this game, like we just said, and he was fantastic. What can you say about Jalil Farouk? I mean, what performance by him?
And you talk about, who's the top players in this game. That's a good way to segue into the defensive side. I mean, we want to look at
I got more offense.
Oh, okay. Hold on. Go ahead. Go ahead. I'm going to let you go ahead and start talking. Go ahead, Josh.
Well, there's a few other things. I mean, Austin Stogner got a few catches in this game. Obviously, he barely caught anything coming in, and they were all kind of timely. The key moments, finding him, getting him involved, I thought was huge. And then, we touched on it a little bit kind of here and there, but offensive line was awesome in this game too. I thought all 5 guys along the offensive line had their moments at some point. Like Walter Rouse, like you guys said, on the game-winning play. McKay Metoyer had the block, kind of the key block on Dylan Gabriel's first touchdown run at the very beginning of the game. They all kind of had their moment. Rain played well. Caden Green had a nice key block, I think, on maybe Tawi Walker's goal line touchdown. I'm trying to remember when it was. But they all played well. And we'll see on McKay Metoyer. The other guy who's hurt. It sounds like he maybe avoided the worst, not like a season-ending situation. We'll have to wait and see on that one too. But Bill Beanbo's group coming into the year was kind of there's some pieces here, but we'll see how it gels, how it meshes. They're coming together nicely, and they had a really good performance against. We talked about it going in. the best defensive line that they're going to face, and they answered the bell for the most part. I thought in this game really well as well. So, yeah, I mean, offensively overall, it was really, really good. Just kind of at every level, every position had their bright spots, had their moments, which I think is, what you want to see when your team needs it the most. Anything else for offense, Tom?
Yeah, I mean, the offensive line, particularly in pass protection. I mean, they gave up just the one sack. Dylan Gabriel had time to operate in there, found guys when he could, took off when he needed to. Walter Rouse and Tyler Guyton, I think, combined allowed just one pressure on 48 dropbacks. It was a good day for the offensive line and pass protection. Run blocking still not great. Dylan Gabriel made a lot happen there. I think the other thing on offense that just really stood out is that red zone efficiency. Oklahoma was in the red zone 6 times, got points every time, got 4 touchdowns. Texas came into the game allowing just 1 touchdown on 11 red zone trips defensively, and Oklahoma just absolutely dominated that matchup. It started right off the bat with that Dylan Gabriel touchdown run. Howie Walker had, those 2 short 1-yard touchdowns, the game winner at the end capped it, and then just 2 short field goals from Zach Schmidt. I mean, that is a winning formula for Oklahoma against a defense like that, is capitalizing when you get down into scoring position. You have to come away with points. You can't settle for field goals all the time. And then, you look at it on the flip side, and there's probably a good segue to the defense. Texas was 1 of 3 on red zone trips. They had a lone field goal and 2 turnovers.
Right.
Interception in that goal line stand. And that is where Oklahoma wins the game, with the red zone efficiency on offense and the red zone efficiency on defense. And now they're a top 10 red zone defense in the country right now in terms of teams scoring on them. They're top 3 in allowing touchdowns, or limiting touchdowns rather. Not enough can be said about how much this team has just been able to turn around situationally in those areas this season. It's why they're where they are right now.
Yeah, and it's like we said, that's pretty much the identity of this team now, is the defensive side of the ball. It's been offense for a while, but the defense is kind of the leading factor in this unit. When OU wins the coin toss and the defense trots onto the field, you feel very comfortable with what they're going to produce. Besides, you're thinking, okay, they're going to score a touchdown, and the offense is going to have to come out and try to catch up after that. And that's not the case now. I mean, when they line up out there, when we see it, like Danny Stutzman and Jaren Kaneker are signaling what's going on. The guys can see it, and it just pivots always to the safeties, and you see guys getting matched up as fast as possible and get ready, and they seem to always be in position to make the play they need to make the play of. And that's just outstanding from what, and it can tell you that's coaching. That's coaching. That's the difference with Brent Venables coming in. That signals everything that we all thought he was going to be in his first year. But now that he has his guys and his right players, it's all working out for him.
Yeah, no, to piggyback off that, I was struck, and especially, obviously in the game, but going back and watching it back this morning, I was struck by how often Oklahoma just had the guys in the right place. Just sniffing plays out, knowing what was coming. They were so prepared. And obviously that goes back to Brent Venables and this staff, knowing what they were doing. I mean, I can think of a couple plays, just off the top of my head, the first Ethan Downs sack on Quinn Ewers was kind of like a delayed screenplay, and Jonah Laulu leaked out and took Jonathan Brooks away. He couldn't throw it to Brooks because Laulu saw it. He read the play perfectly. He doesn't get any credit for that play. He didn't do anything in the stat book, but he made it to where he couldn't throw it to Brooks. Ewers had to buy a little extra time. Downs sacked him. The Rondell Bothroyd play on kind of the sweep where he just manhandled the guy inside the 10. He just saw what the play was doing and let it come to him and made the play. And there are dozens more examples of that. Oklahoma's defense is just so much better coached than it was. I mean, that's obvious, but they were so prepared. Obviously, the tackling is so much better than it used to be, and things like that. They're forcing turnovers. They continue to do that. 3 more in this game, 2 more interceptions, which at the time was the most in college football. I should check if it still is. I think it is. It's certainly up there. It's not the most.
Yeah.
But, I mean, they're doing winning football things right now defensively. I think that's the best way to summarize it. It's really incredible how far it's come in such a short amount of time. I don't think even the most optimistic of OU fans or media or whatever probably didn't know it would be like this so quickly. Just from last year to this year, it's night and day.
As I said, I thought it was going to progress throughout the year. I mean, I didn't know they would be at this point at this time of the season, but they've done it. I mean, Brent Venables talked about it before the game. It was like, this is going to be won at the line of scrimmage. That's where this game's going to be run at. And OU, I think, won both sides of the ball, as the offense only gave up 1 sack and the defense got their season high of 5 sacks in one game. I mean, it was just a great push that they were giving, on all sides of the ball. And that's what worked really well for them in this game.
Yeah, and Brent Venables kind of, mentioned earlier in the week when he was doing his regular press conference to preview this game. But, this Texas offense it's not an offense where you're just going to cut off the head and be able to stop them. I mean, they have too many good players, too many weapons. Like, they're going to get theirs. I mean, Texas still had over 500 yards of offense, so it's not like Oklahoma just completely clamped them. But Oklahoma played well situationally. Again, the red zone, third downs, limited them there. Coming up with timely plays on, the interception on back-to-back drives to open the game, forcing a fumble on Quinn Ewers. Even though he completed, he had a career-high completion rate in this game. I think he was, 31 of 37 passing. But they still got after him. They did not let him get completely comfortable. A lot of those passes were, snap the ball, make a quick read, and I said this in the press box, but I was like, it feels like almost if Oklahoma loses this game, it's going to be death by 1,000 paper cuts. But they were able to not let him get completely settled back there. Like I said, 5 sacks, did a good job getting pressure when they could, even though they didn't blitz as often as I thought they might have. But yeah, I mean, the defense just made plays when they had to, and I think none bigger than probably the first red zone trip and the last red zone trip of the day for Texas, because that first one, Billy Bowman just absolutely lays a hit on a receiver.
Yeah.
Breaks up the pass, and Kendall Dolby just capitalizes on the deflection, and then I mean that goal line stand was just incredible. That's the stuff of lore. That is, we talked about Dylan Gabriel writing his chapter in the Red River Rivalry history. Like, that is the defense's page right there. Like, that goal line stand, stopping them 4 times inside the 1 or 2 yard line. I mean, that's incredible.
Yeah, that goal line stand.
This was Billy Bowman's best game in an OU uniform. He was fantastic in this game. Like you mentioned, the big hit to pop that ball in the air, Kendall Dolby gets the interception. He had the big hit on the 4th down goal line that you just referenced. Finished the day with 11 total tackles from that safety spot. He was everywhere. He was making things happen. Billy Bowman, really, really good in this game. And when they needed him, I mean, you lean on your veteran guys, and he was phenomenal in this game.
Yeah.
That goal line stand, I mean, we talking about it. I mean, that's on our site as well. I just got finished with that. I mean, the guys said, yes, they prepared for that. They prepared for, to that situation. But it all came down to willpower. That's what the defensive coordinator Ted Roof told us. That's what Peyton Bowen told me. That's what Danny Stutzman told us. I mean, Jaron Cannon, they all got in there. Ethan Downs even said it. It was just willpower. They just did not want Texas to score in that situation. And because they worked so hard at it, that's what came out of it. Kip Lewis, I mean, came out of nowhere and got his shine.
First snap of the game gets a stop on first down. That's what I was gonna say. Kip Lewis was kind of the unsung hero of that stand. I mean, redshirt freshman coming in, 4th quarter of a tight game, 1 possession game. He comes in there for his first, snap of the game, gets a stop on first down. He's in there on, they had kind of a gang tackle on 2nd down that he was a part of, or was it third down? Third down might have been the gang tackle. Either way, he was in there on 2 plays. Only 3 snaps he played all game. And I mean,
second down was the gang tackle. Third down was when Stutzman blew up Brooks.
Second down, he was one of like 5 guys in there on the gang tackle to stop him short of the goal line.
Saw McCullough was in there too.
Yeah, just a big low-key moment for redshirt freshmen who didn't play many snaps, because Danny Stutzman and Jaron Kanik did not come off the field in this game. Danny Stutzman played every defensive snap. I think Jaron Kanik played all but 2. Woody Washington played all but 3. I mean, those are the guys that they were just leaning on in a game like this. I mean, Oklahoma kind of tightened up the rotation a little bit. I mean, even Peyton Bowen, who made an impact in this game, played the fewest snaps he had last season.
That fumble.
Yeah, he played only 17 snaps defensively. It just felt like Oklahoma wanted to entrust its veterans a little bit more to get the job done in some tight situations. But, I mean, you had your young guys come in and make some key plays, whether it was Bowen on the fumble, Kip Lewis on the goal line, PJ Adebawore on the final play of the game. He was bearing down on Quinn Ewers and got a pressure on that Hail Mary. So shout out to those young guys for stepping up in limited opportunities in what was a big, really their first big game.
And the crazy thing about Kip Lewis is like the knock on him, when he was coming in is that he wasn't as big as he should be. He was a little smaller guy. And he's coming in there when you have your big guys in the unit to keep you away from the 1 yard line. I mean, he's that guy that came in. It was like amazing that the play that he was making. And Ted Roof taught us about that as well. It was like, I'm just happy that he was able to come in and build his body up and even be even bigger than he was. I mean, and he had that opportunity and he prevailed in it. I mean, that's a special moment for him, as we talked about.
Yeah, I think one of the things I think was most impressive about that goal line stand is you look at the personnel that Texas had. Like they had their big boy goal line. They had a defensive lineman in there as a fullback.
Yeah, they put D lineman in
there. I think Sark said after the game that like that's a package that has not been stopped yet this season. And for Oklahoma to do it in that situation in the fourth quarter of that game says a lot about just how far this defense has come in a year's time.
Yeah. We said last week, we talked about Gentry Williams getting better and better every week. Like you can see it. And he was good again in this game. Interception, fumble recovery, got banged up late and missed some time. And that's where Kendall Dolby came in big toward the end of the game. Key Lawrence played some corner at the end of this game too. But the same sentiment goes to Jaren Kanak too. I mean, he led the team in tackles in this game. And it just feels like he's really rounding into form of kind of what a lot of OU fans thought he could be. And it just, he's really good now, but you kind of project next year and kind of moving forward for Jaren Kanak. He's got kind of what Danny Stutzman is to this defense now, Jaren Kanak being probably next year. Like he just everywhere around the ball. He's getting better so quickly. Led the team in tackles in this game. Like I said, had a sack. He was really good.
He was their best defender against the run in this game.
Yeah.
He had like 7 stops against the run. I mean, he was lights out. I mean, I know there were a couple times where, Jonathan Brooks just kind of bodied into him and, Kanak kind of dragged him down after a couple of yards. But I mean, for the most part, he was lights out against the run.
Yeah. And I'm just looking at the stat sheet. There's just so many more guys that you could highlight. I mean, DeJoun Terry he's kind of been somewhat quiet, so far in his first year at OU. Had a big sack early in this game, made some other nice plays. Yeah, first sack of the game. Ethan Downs had 2 sacks in this game and talked some serious trash afterward too.
Can't believe he didn't get flagged on that.
He didn't, so it's fine. Yeah. It was just fun and cool.
Jacob Lacey's sack in the fourth quarter on the drive that Texas kicked the go-ahead field goal on. Texas had first and down at the Oklahoma 35-yard line.
That was key.
And Jacob Lacey comes in, gets a first down sack, puts Texas behind the chains, takes them off schedule, out of rhythm. And he's a big reason why, Oklahoma forced Texas to settle for a field goal there instead of, a potential go-ahead touchdown.
Sarkisian said that. He said that changed everything they were doing.
It's just impressive and kind of remarkable to, see Jacob Lacey come in and make a play like that and have the kind of impact that he has. I mean, I know he's a guy that we haven't talked about as much. But, I mean, he even posted it on Twitter either after the game Saturday or Sunday morning. But, this summer he was in a hospital bed. Doctors telling him that he was never going to play again because of blood clots. Yeah. And now look at him.
I mean, I'll say, for me, from things that I had heard, I operated most of the summer under the assumption that Jacob Lacey would not be a part of this team. That was the vibe coming out with that blood clot issue. So, yeah, you're right on it, Tom. I mean, for him to be out there and making things happen is unbelievable. And yeah, like I said, there are so many guys who had moments in this game. I mean, Isaiah Coe didn't really fill up the stat sheet. But when you go back and look, he was just disrupting things so often. I mean, Texas just didn't know what to do with him.
Yeah.
They didn't know what to do with him. They couldn't move him. I mean, he was just there. He's a big, big man. And he was making things happen. I mentioned Rondell Bothroyd briefly. McCullough was really good in this game. Didn't say anything about Woody Washington. He was good in this game. Kind of that reliable force. 9 tackles sneakily for him. Yeah, I mean, there's just, you could point to a million guys on that team. They all kind of had their moment at some point, which is what you need to have to win a game like that. And yeah, there were lapses. Obviously, Texas made that push, got the touchdown to tie it and things like that. But for the most part, they're really good. And that goal line stand, I mean, we're going to remember that forever. I mean, first of all, at the 1, you hold Texas out of the end zone. That is unfathomable for any OU team before this year. I mean, obviously in recent, I'm not going back to 2000 or something, but in the last decade or so, just hard to even comprehend Oklahoma pulling something like that off. So they've come a long way in a short amount of time, that's for sure. And
and you mentioned that 2000 group. I think it's kind of interesting that we asked Brent Venables what this defense reminds him of, and he was like, you know what, I think the 99 2000 team, because of all the misfits that we had no idea what kind of team we could be, and we had no idea how good we could be defensively, and that's what he compared it to, which is crazy.
The parallels are kind of startling.
Yeah.
Bob Stoops' first year, 99, they weren't very good. He took over, and I think they won maybe 7 games his first year. Obviously Brent Venables' first year, they won 6 games, and 2000, we all know what happened. They won the national title, had a great defense, undefeated, and Oklahoma obviously got a long way to go to get to that.
Left-handed quarterback too.
Lefty quarterback. There are some kind of funny parallels, and there's certain players you can kind of connect to, like, okay, this guy would be this guy. It is kind of fun to look at things like that, and Oklahoma fans can start to think about stuff like that, and we'll talk about that a little more in just a second. But anything else defensively, like I said, we highlighted a lot of guys because a lot of guys played well. I mean, there's a lot to be excited about here, especially moving forward. We talked about on Thursday. It felt like if Oklahoma was going to win this game, they had to get Quinn Ewers to be a little uncomfortable, get a pass rush on him, and force him into some mistakes. And while he did have like Tom kind of referenced, a pretty good end of the day stat line, 31 of 37 for almost 350 and a tutty. He got sacked a crap load of times, and he got picked off a couple of times. Like, that is what they needed to do, and they did.
He committed 3 turnovers himself.
Yeah, he fumbled. Yeah, right.
It just felt like, when you look at the numbers, it felt like he didn't have that good a game. When you look at it, the OU defense was just smothering. 31-37 sounds really like phenomenal. You look at that and you think, man, they really didn't win that game when you think of how well your quarterback needs to play. But that defense is what caused it. Two interceptions and 1 fumble. I mean, that changed the game for you.
100%. So, this defense has come a long way very, very quickly. It was a lot of fun to watch. The kicking game continues to be not good. Kicking game is bad, I'd venture to say. The punting was rough. They had a punt blocked in this game. And Zach Schmidt missed another key field goal. It just, Zach Schmidt is a fine kicker, but it's just very clear and obvious that you do not want to be relying on him in a big spot. He's just proven to be unreliable. In a year and a half as Oklahoma's primary kicker, he had a big miss in this game that, if Oklahoma lost this game, would have really felt large. The fact that Oklahoma won has helped us forget about it, but had a field goal to put OU up 10 in that fourth quarter, and he missed it horribly, might I add. That was as bad of a miss as I've seen, and it didn't end up costing him. But
it was online.
No, it was not.
It wasn't. It looked like it was online from where I was sitting at.
No, it was like 10 yards short, and
it's short is what I thought.
It was hard
like
to
40
tell.
yards. I mean, you can't be that short on like a 40-yard field goal.
Yeah, it was hard to tell from where we were, but I had some people say that the wind kind of picked up a couple minutes before that. It looked like that ball just died midair, so I don't know what happened, but it was not a great kick.
It was bad, and the punting was bad. The punting was worse than he made a couple chip shots. The punting was a problem.
Yeah, I mean,
it felt like an adventure every time they punted.
Yeah, Josh Plaster, that first one got blocked and recovered for a touchdown. Mm-hmm. Had another one that went just 25, 26 yards. Then on top of that, they had an illegal formation penalty. So Texas got 5 yards added on top of that. Wasn't great. Luke Elzinga came in and booted one. I think pinned him inside the 10-yard line on one of them. So
I feel like Elzinga probably needs to be the guy.
Yeah. But just special teams overall in this one just weren't great. I mean, we saw Texas run a fake punt there on that second possession.
Yeah, I mean, even though Oklahoma first, right?
No, second because Quinn Ewers off on the second pass of the day.
Possession so quick, I forget.
Yeah. I mean, even though Oklahoma wound up getting a stop on that, it still kind of flipped the field position a little bit. And then after the blocked punt, ensuing kickoff, Oklahoma runs a little trick play of its own on the return, and Jalil Farouk gets flagged. It gets called back because he tossed the ball forward instead of backward to Jaquez Petway. So that cost Oklahoma close to 30 yards of field position there. It just wasn't a great day for the special teams, especially that first 6 minutes. like we discussed. But I mean, Oklahoma did what it needed to in the other two phases of the game and came out on top.
Mm-hmm. And I think I tweeted this out during the game. It was like the defense is playing well enough to win this game. You know, if it's not, it's the offense has to keep up with them because special teams were so bad. I mean, the offense in that second half, like I said, just one score before that game winning drive. Well, they had a field goal as well, so I'll give them 2 scores, but they weren't up to what their standards they've been this year, and so that's what you were not wanting to see because we talked about it. Texas usually starts slow, and then they get really ramped up in the third and fourth
They've
quarter.
been really good, in the second half.
And so
they were again.
You didn't want that to be the case, so that's why I even said that because the offense needed to pick it up because of that, and Dylan Gabriel did on that last drive. That's what happened.
Yeah, I will say too, as we're kind of wrapping up the game breakdown, and we'll kind of spin it forward a little bit on the way out here. The narrative that like Texas played poorly and Oklahoma played really, really well, and like that is crazy to me because if not for the punt block, I mean, this game would have been, like I kind of said earlier, teetering on Oklahoma running away. I mean, the punt block is what kept Texas in it for a long time. I mean, obviously you can't just take away a big play, but it's a special teams play. It's kind of I don't know the right way to put it. It's a little volatile, something you can really bank on. And, Oklahoma for a stretch in this game was dominating. Texas couldn't move the ball. Whenever they got that fumble, Oklahoma was up 27-17. They dropped the turnover. It felt like at that point, like they might run away and win this by 3 or 4 scores. Now, give Texas all the credit in the world. They're really good. But I'm just saying that it was a really competitive, high-level played game. I don't understand that there's a little bit of a thought. I haven't seen it too much, but there's been a little bit of a thought of like,
I was going to say,
Texas played really poorly. If Texas just played better, like if they played again this weekend, Texas would still be a favorite on a neutral field, which I get that, but also like they just played on neutral field and Oklahoma beat them. So it's kind of it's one of those weird situations. But
Josh, I mean, you kind of went at it before the game even happened. You were like, a lot of people are saying like Texas is like this unbeatable force, and they're just not. And you were saying that, so I'll give you all credit for that. We all thought this game would be close no matter what. And so when it got to that point, it was like, oh, wow, they could actually win by 2 or 3 scores. It's like that's a really good sign for the Sooners.
I was going to say, I haven't really seen anybody say that, Texas gave this game away. I'm sure there's some Texas fans that are saying that because, that's what fans do.
Sure. Right.
But I think the overall takeaway kind of on the national level is that these are 2 very good teams, and Oklahoma went out and won this game. Like Oklahoma, delivered. I mean, it went out, and as Brent Venables said, these guys took their pride back. That 49-0 loss last year was, Venable. The word Venables used, an embarrassment, and it was. And these guys were reminded about it every day during off-season workouts. They would come in. Jerry Schmidt would have them do 49 medicine ball push-ups or sit-ups, rather. Yeah, 49 medicine ball sit-ups. Last year, it was just 25 every day they came in. So obviously, doubling that, and 49 is a very obvious number. And it was just kind of seared into their brains that, hey, if you want to, exercise those demons, you need to get tougher. You need to get better. You need to have the mindset to come in every day to improve. And that is what this team has done. I mean, Andrew Rahm said it himself. They had this circled on the calendar. Look, they do the 1 game at a time mentality, go 1-0 every week. But this game has been circled on the calendar for 364 days.
Yep.
And they went out, and it was a fist fight. It was a heavyweight fight, and it was Dylan Gabriel who delivered the knockout blow. I'm
waiting for somebody to put like the Jaden Gibson post-game Iowa State interview and put that together with this game. I mean, he was a guy. He was like the motivational speaker of what was about to happen. He was like, everybody in my locker room knows what's up. That's his words. I mean, he was amped up. He was ready. They knew how serious this was to come back and get their get back. And they took the golden hat back. They took it back out, and they're taking it back, and it's taking it home now. So
yeah. And most importantly for Oklahoma now, they got their pride, they got their golden hat, and now they have everything that they could possibly wanted to set out to do still in front of them.
Sure.
Driver's seat in the Big 12, 3-0. The only other undefeated team right now is West Virginia at 2-0, which that team's been a surprise to everybody considering they were picked last, and Neil Brown probably rightfully pounding his chest a little bit after that. but Oklahoma 6-0 at the midway point, 3-0 in conference play, controls the Big 12 right now, firmly has its foot in the college football playoff discussion.
They control their own destiny. I mean, yeah, like you saying, Tom, they control their own destiny. I mean, well, not a lot of times it's not that. Like outside factors play.
Oh,
I'm saying,
by definition, destiny is uncontrollable. So,
well, that's the saying.
Yeah, I know.
You got a knives with the ball type of. What did you saying, Tom?
Rolling ball, butcher knives.
Oh yeah, so
it's a saying, man.
That's less common than what I just said.
Last thing I had on this game, and then I do want to kind of finish by projecting forward. What a moment for Brent Venables. I mean, it goes without saying, but the way it kind of was described to me, and this was before the game, the way it was described to me by a team source was kind of like the team meeting the Friday night before the game. They always have like a team meeting. They get kind of fired up and they do kind of a last like motivational speech type thing. It was basically like, we've been building toward this game for 18 months, essentially, since Venables got hired. Since Lincoln Riley left, since Brent Venables was hired, this was essentially, and Oklahoma's been the butt of a lot of jokes since then. And last year was rough. Brent Venables had his, basically his reputation kind of, I don't know if tarnished is not the right word, but he was, he took a lot of criticism last year. A lot. Oklahoma, he takes over. Then you go 6-7. They're terrible in close games. Lost a bunch of games they shouldn't have lost. And they had to deal with that, for a long time. And then this year, they're off to this great start, but nobody's giving them any credit for it because they have had an easy schedule. And basically, the players went in with the mindset of everybody thinks that you're not any good, that this program is not going in the right direction, that Lincoln Riley left you for dead. And that's the way that they played. And so you could just tell, you guys were in there too, in post-game, Brent Venables, just how much it meant to him. It was very obvious. It felt like the players up there, and Dylan Gabriel did get choked up a little bit, kind of talking about back home. It felt like all the players were like on the cusp of almost the emotion taking them over because it was just such hard work to get to this point. They put a lot into that. And it's a good thing that the bye week is this week because they need probably a minute to kind of breathe after everything that went into that. But what a moment for Brent Venables. I mean, you guys have seen the last couple of days. I mean, he is getting just accolades and praise showered upon him, and rightfully so, because he played obviously incredibly well, and or his team played incredibly well, and he deserves all the credit in the world for building this program up and getting them to where they feel like they need to be to compete at the highest level. So I wanted to give him his credit.
And that's already helped a lot. And, we're a recruiting outlet. I mean, we've seen it already. A couple guys are getting crystal ball to head to OU now with what that game meant to, just those guys. They saw that and saw the kind of performance that Brent Venables was able to put on that defensive side. I mean, the guys that we're seeing being crystal ball on the defensive side, and they liked it. I mean, I even heard there's a couple flips may happen. I mean, just from some sources, just be ready for that just in case, because guys are watching. They are watching what Coach Venables is doing with this team, and especially on the defensive side, they want to be a part of that. They want to be a part of a unit that knows exactly what they're supposed to do. They have guys that are able to do it, and they're always in the right position, and that's helped out so far.
Yeah. Last thing before we get out of here, was a heck of a game, obviously, all-timer. Like Tom kind of alluded to, everything is now in front of this team. They moved up to number 5 in the AP poll, which doesn't mean anything, but they moved to number 5. They're 6-0. They're going to be heavy favorites in every game the rest of the way that they play in the regular season. So we'll see what happens in a Big 12 championship potential rematch with this Texas team if we get there. Let's get wide-eyed for a second on the way out here. How far can this team go? Can they start to think natty? Is that reasonable? Certainly the Big 12 championship is reasonable now. Playoff is they kind of go hand in hand. You win the Big 12, you're in the playoff conversation. How far can this team go in your guys' mind now moving forward? Because obviously coming into the year, the expectations were what? Win 10 games, get to the Big 12 championship game, maybe win it. We'll see where the chips fall. Those expectations have now been reset after this last weekend. The hope now is obviously to run the table and get to the playoff and then see what you can do when you get there. Nobody in college football has looked that scary, that daunting. Obviously, Michigan has crushed everyone they've played with. They haven't played a soul yet. Penn State's looked good. Georgia's always going to be Georgia. But there's not, there was a lot of people that thought Texas was the best team before this last weekend. So how far can this team go? Are they capable of winning the whole thing? Are you saying pump the brakes? Where are you kind of at temperature check on what the expectations are now moving forward?
I think this team will make it to Arlington. I mean, I think we all kind of thought that
Take a lot not to.
I think we all kind of thought going into the season that they had a good chance to make it to Arlington to begin with. But right now the expectation should be Arlington or bust. And they have a chance to, just looking at how the schedule plays out, they have a chance to go into that game 12-0. Kansas, the only other currently ranked team on their schedule, and they just crept back in at number 24 yesterday. So that game will be interesting because it's in Lawrence. We'll see if Kansas, has Jalen Daniels healthy at that point. Bedlam could be interesting just because it's always interesting, and it seems like Oklahoma State's starting to get its footing a little bit. And we saw they just kind of took it to Kansas State this past weekend. But I mean, this is a team that should make it to Arlington, and it's hard to look past the Big 12 championship right now about what could happen then, because we saw them go toe to toe with this Texas team. These are two very comparable teams. They're both probably two of the top 5 teams in the country right now, even though I know Texas dropped. But these are two very good teams. Oklahoma got the best of them in round 1. I want to see the chess match of round 2. Like that game would be so compelling, and also just very fitting for these two teams to play again in their final Big 12 season on the way out. Just make things completely awkward for Brett Yormark. And look, I don't think that Oklahoma within those walls, I don't think they're going to get wide-eyed and start thinking about college football playoff or anything like that. This game was personal to them, but they've still maintained that 1-0 mentality. Focus on the task at hand each week. And I think Brent Venables and those guys are going to be on them about maintaining that through these next 6 weeks. But man, if they make it to Arlington at 12-0 and keep playing the way that they have, even if they lose a tight rematch with Texas, it depends on,
they'd have an argument. Yeah.
Yeah. It depends on how everything else shakes out at the national level,
Sure.
because like you said, you still have a bunch of undefeated teams. You have some good teams in the Pac-12, some good teams in the Big Ten in particular. They'd have an argument. Like you said, they will be in the discussion till the end. Even if they were to not win the Big 12 championship, just depending on how everything plays out. But yeah, like you said, the expectations for this season have been reset. We're midway through, and they're playing like one of the best teams in the country right now.
Well, I mean, my bold prediction already had them winning the Big 12 championship before I saw this team, and so I feel like, yes, Josh asked if they could win it. They could win it all. Yes, I think they could. They, of course, they have the talent. They have the structure to do it. It's just a matter of letting that happen now. This team is very good defensively. And as we know, the saying is defense wins championships. I know OU's been trying to do it in a different way the last couple of years, but that defense is good enough to win it all. I mean, that's the case. It's just, can guys stay healthy? I mean, can all the chips fall their way, and just can they control everything they need to control and get to that point? Now, it's saying a lot. I think just getting a playoff win would be outstanding, and that would be a lot for them. Yeah. They've never done that, to get them into the SEC next year where they'll really have their footing. But they have a chance to win it all. That's for sure.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, also, I don't think anybody's going to say they definitively are. That's really hard. I wouldn't say that about anybody, but they could. I mean, it's crazy to say. I think that they could, because the best way to describe it for me is just, is there a single team in America that you, at least at this point, you would say that they definitely no way they could beat them? There's not really, that team doesn't really exist with the way that they've been playing, especially on the defensive side. Like I said, there was a lot of people who thought Texas might be the best team in college football, and Oklahoma just beat them. Now, it took a lot. It was a crazy game. They certainly could have won either way, but they beat them. They played them on a neutral field, and they beat them. So, yeah, it's going to be fun to watch.
With the way things are going to shake up, you got to think of what their resume is going to be, and they're going to be favoring all these games. If they were to beat Texas in the Big 12 championship, like I've said, I mean, they're not going to be a 3 or 4 seed like they've been in the past as well. I mean, they're 1 or 2 in that situation with that on their resume. I mean, that would be an outstanding position for OU to be in, which makes it easier, like we said, to win it all, because you're on the upside. You have the advantage there in the situation.
Yeah, the only time they made it and they weren't a 3 or 4, like you're saying, was in 2017. They played Georgia in the Rose Bowl. Oklahoma was technically the 2 in that game, and that was obviously the closest Oklahoma ever got. They should have won that game, quite frankly. Oakland fans remember that really well. I don't need to bring that up.
The squib kick, man.
Squib kick. And I tell you what, the playoff is back in the Rose Bowl. I mean, who's to say Oklahoma and Georgia couldn't mix it up again in the Rose Bowl this year? And we'll see. We got a long way to go, but you can start to get greedy now. And I think every OU fan was kind of waiting for this game to kind of see, okay, where are we at actually? And now you did what you just did, and now you can start to be like, okay, we can start to really think like big. So it's going to be fun. Any last things, Tom? What a game. What a game.
He just shook his head for those that are listening to the podcast. Tom was involved.
It was an all-timer. We thank you so much for hanging out with us. Again, we were all wrong, but we're fine with it. We took our lumps, and we're good with it. It's going to be a really fun second half of the season. We're going to enjoy the bye week. Chance to kind of catch our breath for a minute, but then we'll hit the second half of the season hard. Excited for it. So we'll be back on Thursday, as always. Colin Kennedy will join the show. We'll do some recruiting talk, and then we'll also look ahead, I think, to the second half of the season a little bit and do some kind of mid-season resetting on things, I guess. Kind of maybe revisit some preseason things and look ahead to the second half. It won't be a real long show. We'll do some recruiting news and things like that. Look ahead to the second half. And then obviously next Monday, we'll be back at it, getting you ready for Oklahoma and UCF. They're back in Norman, which we just found out before we recorded is 11 a.m. kick in Norman next Saturday. So back on the early side of things again. And going to be a fun second half of the season. We thank you so much for tuning in. As always, be sure to subscribe.
Real quick,
Oklahoma.
like you're saying,
go ahead.
just because we're in the bye week, the content's not going to stop here on this site. We're all here.
I do want to thank. It kind of made me think of it. I do want to thank everybody. The site went berserk this weekend. Far and away our biggest weekends as soon as Illustrated took over. Obviously, the team. We have the team to thank partially for that. But I want to thank everybody who just checked out the site. Maybe a lot of people probably for the first time. We got a bunch of new subscribers this weekend too. So thank you to all those people. That's awesome. And hopefully people enjoy what they see, and we'll be along for the second half of the season. We're still running our promo. Tom, do you happen to have 60% off right now? No better time. This looks like a potential, certainly a playoff and natty potential level team. So come aboard, be a VIP subscriber, and hang out with us throughout the back half of this season. It's going to be a lot of fun. We also have hoops starting soon, things like that. So it's going to be a fun time here and through the rest of October and into November. So Oklahoma.247sports.com. The YouTube channel also had a big weekend. Picked up a bunch of subscribers there as well. So be sure to do that. If you're listening to the podcast right now, not watching on YouTube, check out the YouTube channel, subscribe, play interviews, highlights on the shorts and stuff like that. Lots of good stuff there on the YouTube channel. Lots of the podcast, recruiting stuff lives there as well. So that's it for now. We'll be back on Thursday. For Tom Green, James D. Jackson, I'm Josh Callaway. Thank you so much for watching and listening. As always, we'll see you back here on Thursday on the Sooners Illustrated podcast.
See you.